I'm in your space, man.
You are fine.
Just knock it out the way.
You're fine. I'm spread out. Kingdom come over here.
I can play mode it.
Yes.
Actually,
It's because it's dark outside.
yeah. Yeah, last time we still had sun.
Was he making out? Still living at home?
Good evening. There being a quorum present, this regular session of the Howe City Council is hereby called to order on Tuesday, November 18, 2025 at 6 p.m. under the Open Meetings Act of the state of Texas. Council members present include Mr. Ingram, Mr. Price, Mr. Tyler, Mr. Woods, Mr. Whitfield, and myself, Ms. McDonald. If we will, please stand for the pledge and the prayer. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for all of our many blessings. We ask that you will give us wisdom and discernment and guide us as the council makes decisions for the city. We ask that everybody will have a safe and blessed Thanksgiving this coming week. It's all in your precious holy name we pray. Amen. Now for the pledges. American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now for the Texas flag. Honor to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please be seated.
I was waiting for
Don't worry, I got you.
I did have
I'm glad you noticed it was going, though. That could have been disastrous.
Moving forward with the mayor comments, the Howe Hump Day Networking Breakfast will be held Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. here at Summit Gardens. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to come. The Howe Christmas Parade is Sunday, December 13, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. And I would like to encourage businesses, schools, churches, and other organizations to get involved and participate in the parade. Moving on to the Mayor Bragg moment. We are recognizing individuals for achievements and behaviors that positively affect the citizens and community. And today, I am going to talk about Harvey's Blessing Build. In early January 2025, just before the cold and snow swept into Howe, Justin Johnson from Public Works made a simple Facebook post on his personal page, one that would spark something extraordinary. He shared the story of an elderly veteran in our community who was sleeping in a bedroom without heat. Councilman Billy Ingram saw the post and immediately reached out to Justin. Moved by the situation, the two of them went together to visit the veteran and hear firsthand what he was facing. With the compassionate help of a local church and a caring plumber, a heater was quickly installed so the veteran would not have to endure the freezing temperatures alone. When the weather finally eased, they returned to the home, hoping repairs could make it safe again. Instead, they were met with the heartbreaking reality that the house was beyond saving. Determined not to give up, Justin Johnson, a fellow veteran with nonprofit experience serving other veterans, and Councilman Ingram came together to find a better answer, one that would truly honor this man's service. The American Legion and Van Alstyne stepped in, and from that moment, the vision to provide Howe veteran Harvey Morris with a new home began to grow. This was the beginning of what would be known as Harvey's Blessing Build. Over the next 9 months, something beautiful happened. Individuals, contractors, businesses, and neighbors from every corner of our community gave their time, their skills, their resources, and their hearts. Because of this incredible generosity and love poured into this project, veteran Harvey Morris walked into his brand new home on Friday, November 14, 2025. The project manager asked that I wait until December or January council meeting to formally recognize everyone involved so that as many contributors as possible could be present. I fully support this request, but I couldn't wait to express how proud and grateful I am for this community. This project is more than a home. It is a testament to the compassion, unity, and spirit that define Howe. We truly are the heart of North Texas. And I just would like to give them a hand. All right, moving on to our consent items. These items consist of non-controversial or housekeeping items required by law. Items may be considered individually by any council member making such a request prior to a motion and vote on the consent items. 1, discuss, consider, and act upon consent items which are marked by an asterisk. These items include minutes of the regular city council meeting, October 21, 2025, bills being paid for the month, detailed check register report, statement of revenue and expenditures. South State Bank, secure deposits, October 2025, recap and standings, October 2025. Does the council wish to discuss any of these items? And if not, do I have a motion?
I make a motion we accept.
Ed makes the motion to accept. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Chad makes the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Discussion items, departmental reports. First up, Howe Police Department, Chief Sullivan.
Over the past year, we've asked our citizens numerous times to report things, and that information helps us make our community safe. And so yesterday afternoon, my staff responded to a suspicious person due to some citizens calling in some information, which led to us arresting a wanted person who had narcotics. It has now opened up another investigation to that residence possibly selling narcotics. Earlier in October, we had a law enforcement agency come out here to help with an investigation that wasn't related to us initially, that led to another suspect that was wanted nationally to be removed from our city. Our citizens helping us being our eyes and ears is what allows us to make our community safer. And for those who watch and listen to our council meetings, please share information for us, because that's how we get people out of here that we don't want in our community. With that being said, as you might recall, I mentioned that we had our first test cycle in October. We had 19 people sign up. We actually had 3 people show up to test. We've got 1 in background. We had another applicant that came in from out of state who has 8 years experience to test. He is in the final stages in background. If everything goes well, we look forward to him to joining us from the great state of Michigan. Brings 8 years of experience, 5 of that being in investigations, so it's going to be a great asset for our department. My department report, I caught an error, but I had already sent it to Monty. We had actually did 82 hours of training last month. I think I had 0 down. And so with that being said, I'll move forward with our report. And so we responded to 145 calls for service. That's a 39% increase over the same period last year. Year to date, we were 47% increase in call volume compared to last year. We wrote, let's see here, 48 citations, 71 warnings. I want to talk about that a little bit. So obviously when our call volume goes up, our ability to do traffic enforcement goes down. We've been very busy this past month. We've also had Officer Like and Cana and Prada in training, so that's taken us one person out that works the highway pretty consistently. So over the next couple of weeks, you'll see those numbers start to go back up and stay up consistently. Code enforcement is something, obviously, y'all know we took over October the 1st. I kind of put a copy of the code report in there that Officer McFadden has put together. And let me just say, I constantly get phone calls from people thanking us that we're actually having conversations, encouraging them to fix things. One of the things that Officer McFadden took upon himself to do was to meet with all our church leaders, put him in touch with people that some of our elderly that can't clean up their yards or don't have the financial means to, where we have volunteers that are willing to come do that. So hats off to him for taking that initiative. Other than that, we are moving forward. Excuse me. So we have 2 of our 4 flock cameras up. One of those cameras has already led us to solve an investigation that we were working on for a stolen vehicle. So it's a prime example of the technology that y'all support for us to use in the police department and how it helps us solve crimes and make our community safer. That's all I have, unless you have a question.
Thank you, sir. Council, comments or questions? Thank you. Howe Fire Department, Chief Monet.
Mayor, Council, good evening. The month of October, Howe Fire Rescue ran a total of 71 calls for service. We had multiple MVAs, grass fires, and many EMS calls. The fire department has been busy preparing for the upcoming classes and continuing to do the classes that we are doing right now for our full-time staff and our volunteers for training classes that they are doing for their certificates. Howe Fire Rescue is continuing doing some maintenance on the trucks to keep them fire-worthy and road-worthy, keeping them ready for the upcoming months of possible winter weather that's heading this way. Let's hope not, but you never know. We had our final full-time EMS staff complete her fire skills for her fire academy, and I'm proud to say she is now a certified firefighter paramedic through TCFP and the Texas National Registry for Paramedics. So I congratulate her. She worked very hard and got that done, and that's all of our full-time staff now cross-trained in fire and EMS. So that's a great problem we have. How you guys might notice that we are currently seeking a full-time paramedic to replace one of our paramedics. It's our first one we lost in 2 years. We lost him to a bigger fire department that could offer him some more advancements that we could not. But he wishes to stay on the PRN list, and he wants to continue volunteering for the community that he's been with for 4 years. So I congratulate, and I said absolutely no problem. The certification classes, as I said, are still going great and underway that are involved. We've got one of our EMTs that is currently in paramedic school. He's got several months left ahead of him, but I wish him the best in that endeavor to be paramedic certified with that. Other than that, any questions or comments?
Council? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
City Secretary, Ms. Hewitt.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We do not have any system updates to report at this time. We have begun audit documentation collection so we can begin our fiscal year 2024 audit. Fines totaling $22,296.90 were received for the month for the court. 9 warrants were issued for the month. Candace Coughlin is no longer employed with the city of Howe. We did post a job position for that, for the permit clerk position, and we actually made an offer to an individual. Her name is Samantha Mollenauer, and she will begin on Monday, so we're excited. She comes from the city of Van Alstyne. I attended the TML conference, and it was very informative, and I hope to go again. Are there any questions? Council? Thank you.
Thank you. Next up would be Public Works, and Monty's going to give that report, and then he'll give his city administrator report.
Mayor, council, good evening. Public Works carried out 169 service orders, 4 meter sets for new homes, 6 meter leaks repaired, pothole patching where they used 10 tons, 5 water main leaks were repaired, 12 disconnections for move-outs, spent 40 hours of mowing, 3 sewer main backups, and 45 disconnects for non-payment. Also 112 hours on wells, sampling, flushing, and reporting. We're running and have been running on all of our wells for the past month or so, so we're not having to deal with any mixing of chloramines and chlorines at this point in this particular period of time. 4 hours assisted with water main repairs, reached out and met with Rapid Electric to get quotes on installing heaters at the well sites in preparation for the winter, and I got a quote for that today. Correspondence with TCEQ regarding violations is ongoing. Most violations have been resolved, but a few remain and are being worked on. As far as the city administrator report, under development agreement or planned developments, we have Noble Ridge 1A, which is 171 homes, just about to finish up there. Connections Park is finishing up, they're getting pretty close over there. Noble Ridge 1B has started. Lennar Homes, 177 of those. Ponderosa Point, looking to rezone their PD for added commercial. We'll be bringing that to you hopefully next month. NRP Group is under construction on the multifamily project, 300 units there. Grace Meadows, 51 half-acre lots on Ponderosa that has sold to Astoria Homes, so that'll be a nice product over there on Ponderosa. Hilltop Ranch, 1,376 homes. Saddleback has completed the first of 7 homes on Bandera Drive. We still continue on projects with Howe Meadows. They formed a MUD and we're working towards annexation. These things take a lot of time, unfortunately, but that one is 762 homes. Talbot Estates, everything is done after last meeting. The annexation, development agreement, we're putting in the water line so that those 65 half-acre lots can get going. They've already moved the dirt work and putting in the water line. We got the CCN rights from Luella, so all of it is cleared to go. Centurion American Development Group, 669 homes, as they have purchased phase 2 and 3, as you know, of Noble Ridge, and will continue with the MUD instead of trying to go with a PID as they initially wanted to. So possible future developments, we're still having somewhat conversations with the Enloe 2698 group consisting of 844 lots. Astra Companies, our engineer, is scheduled to give them some information which they are seeking. That's in between Howe High School and Lane Drive. That's 365 lots. We have a signed PSA with them. Bennett Road and 902 Northeast Corner, 180 acres. We've had some good conversation, which is a really high-end product going at that location, as well as annexation. And then Grace Meadows Phase 2, they'll start working on that here very shortly. And then I've had a conversation with the Billingsley Group about a multifamily near Premier Trucking. But that's very early, and who knows where that will go. Commercial-wise, dirt is being moved to create a pad site for Taco Bell and 7-Eleven. You've probably seen that. 7-Eleven 7 acres on East Duke Street has closed for a flex mini warehouse development that'll begin in phases due to the available sewer taps. PSA is signed. We've got to get that approved tonight. It's on the agenda. We'll now be working towards a development agreement to bring you in the future once that hopefully is signed. KK Building Supplies moving into the former Old America Magnafab building on the east side of US 75. This is a huge sales tax opportunity for us. And they have another outdoor stone business going in next to them. So it'll kind of be a one-stop shop for builders. EDC is under contract for the first stage of a downtown redevelopment project. EDC has made an offer on a significant property as well. Retail development project has been submitted for the corner of Aubrey and Collins Freeway. They wanted to put a convenience store on that corner, but they're well within the 300 feet of an ISD, therefore they can't sell beer and wine, so they're going to go back to the drawing board on that piece of property. Streets. So we've had this zipper machine for probably 12 years, and I think they bought it initially with bond money way back long ago. It has 3 hours on it. So I wanted that thing fired up and get a demonstration. It needed a new starter. We got it fired up. They did a test patch in front of the Public Works building. What it does is it chews up the road and the asphalt. And you can grind out some of the humps on some of these streets. So I told them to go out to Blythe Road, and where the edges of the road are just caving, you know, there are drop-offs over there. They chewed up the north side of the road just to see, you know, if that would help in anything with that road, and which it did. I don't know how it's going to hold up. It's kind of a test project right now, because when it rains this weekend, we'll really find out what if that thing is going to work for us or not. But we also went out there and did the ends of Farmington Road, or in the process of doing that. They had to go out there and fill some of the holes with rocks, because we don't have a taxpayer on either stretch out there. So the guys never go out there. They never see a meter, so they're not out there to see that road and the shape it's in all the time. And it's bad. It's really, really, really bad. So we're going to try to do a patchwork on it and see how we can get it kind of up to snuff a little bit, but we're going to have to grind it up in order to get it drivable, because it's just about unpassable at this point. So our street plans this year, this is not set in stone, but we're looking really heavily at Swanner Drive. It needs to be addressed. The guys have taken out some of the curbs over there that were rolling over, so we're going to take a look at it and see if we can get something done there. And also, thanks to the Talbot negotiations, we should be able to get a large portion of Duke Street done in this coming season, this coming spring. Personnel. Michelle mentioned earlier, Candace Coughlin resigned as permit clerk. We have received some, as of this time, we received some good resumes, but we made that hire. I don't know how I keep hiring all these people from Van Alstyne, but so far they've done us really well, and I'm glad that she's going to be with us. It's going to be a good hire. On wastewater, BVRT is close to finalizing land purchase on the south. Is it signed? Not signed. We had a collapsed sewer line in front of the apartments on North Collins Freeway near Young Street. We had to contract that work out, put in a new PVC pipe. We have the CCN transfer documents that we'll be sending back to BVRT, which will grant us our own sewer CCN, shared with BVRT, and then transfer it from Sherman. On water, I don't want to put anything out there in the universe. so far. Now, we went back to the wells, and that's probably a big factor of why we're not having a lot of issues right now, because we're not having to inject a lot of chloramines and mix that with the chlorine. So far, so good. TML, the mayor, city secretary, and I attended the TML conference. It's the first one I've been to. It was in Fort Worth. Extremely valuable for me personally. Met and discussed a lot of things with some other city managers and got some insight on how they're doing things differently and more efficiently. Some of them are using a lot of AI, I'll tell you that. WSB will be hosting our city Christmas party on December the 11th at 6 p.m. All of you are invited to that up there on the stage. Gallons, billed 8,208,19 in total gallons for October. November was 6,751,573. Total charges 269,745 in October, 258,739 for November. And that's all I got. Any questions?
Council, questions or comments?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Moving back to our action items, number 2, discuss, consider, and act upon investment report.
Mayor, council. For the month of October, we accrued $7,911.97 in interest with all of our city-owned accounts. EDC accrued $1,798.22 through Logic, which is currently yielding 4.18%, while Techstar is yielding 4.09. With this time of year being very thin on cash flow, we've had to transfer funds, which has resulted in a little bit less interest than what we've been accustomed to over the past couple of months. Of course, those funds will be replenished when the ad valorem starts rolling in January, February, in the later part of the first quarter. November report showed a sales tax total for the city of Howe of $74,598.64. Of that, the EDC will receive $18,000 and has received $18,649.66. I've already moved $20,000 from the EDC account to Logic to try to take advantage of that 4.18%.
Does the council wish to discuss this item? And if not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
Billy makes the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ricky makes that second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Number 3, discuss, consider, and act upon entering into a professional services agreement with Eddie Peacock, PLLC, for audit consulting.
This is somewhat routine as we try to catch up and go through our audit process. Eddie is invaluable to us, being able to lean on him and help, and I think Michelle will agree. I think Sophie may agree. Eddie's been really, really good for us. Without going back to him a couple of years ago, we'd have been in big trouble. And so I would highly recommend approving the PSA for Eddie Peacock.
Does the council wish to discuss this item? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve PSA with Eddie Peacock.
All right. Sean makes that motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second him.
Billy makes a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Number 4, discuss, consider, and act upon the 2022-23 audit report. And I believe Sophie's going to give us a report.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I would also like to add about Eddie. He is kind of a resident fund view expert, And given that there's been the significant shift to fund view, that's really helpful, so from a practical perspective. But I'm happy to be here again. I think this is my second time in 6 months, so maybe I'll get my frequent flyer badge at this meeting. But I'm here to talk
I still call
to
the new city engineer new guy, so you've got some time.
Dang it. Give me time. I'll catch up. We have one more audit to get through. But I'm here to talk to you guys about the fiscal year 2023 audit. So as a reminder, that's as of September 30th, 2023. So we're talking about time period in the past here. This is going to look very similar to the 2022 report because it was similar personnel, similar issues. So many of the findings that we'll discuss later may seem repetitive. I think there was only one new comment added this year, so we'll talk about that one. But as always, please feel free to stop me if you have questions. Some of this material can be a little bit dense, so we can make it a discussion when and as we go. So first, we're going to talk about the objective and the scope of the audit. Second, just a broad overview of what you have in front of you. Third, just the audit results. Fourth, financial highlights. And then fifth, material weaknesses. After that, significant deficiencies. A few operational recommendations that we noticed during the course of the audit. And then we'll have time for questions, but feel free if there's a page that's confusing or information that you'd like a little bit more on, feel free to stop me and we can talk about it. You'll see you should have a blue folder in front of you and a bound report. The bound report is your audited financial statements. The blue folder is basically everything else. You'll have a copy of slides that I'm going to review with you all. You'll have a copy of our required governance communications, and that includes our audit adjustments and our letters. So those are going to be all of our findings, material weakness, significant deficiency, as well as our recommendations. So this is just a brief objective of the audit. This is similar to last time and similar to all audits before, except for the addition of SB 1851. So what you'll notice here is the Texas Local Government Code does mandate that you all annually get an audit. The annual financial statement audit should, including the opinion of this statement, shall be filed in the office of the municipal secretary within 180 days after the last day of your fiscal year, which is end of March. For you all, the Texas SB 1851 has come on since the 2022 audit, and that's basically saying that you can't, I'm sure you all know, can't exceed your property tax rate past the no new revenue rate if you're delinquent on audits. So what that means for the city of Howe is we'd like to get you caught up as quickly as possible, so that 2024 and then 2025 immediately behind, because 2025 fiscal year is already behind us. So our scope here is going to be exactly the same as 2022. We conducted our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. We performed a risk assessment to determine the substantive nature of our procedures. And we are required to plan and perform our audit to obtain reasonable assurance about the financial statements being free from material misstatement. And then we did review the city's compliance with grant agreements and provisions of contracts, et cetera. So an overview here, this is just a breakdown of that required governance letter you have. These are things that we are required to communicate to governance. We did not have any significant changes to our planned audit strategy. Our significant risks that identified at the beginning maintained our significant risks throughout. There were no independence matters. Our firm was independent to the city of Howe. We did identify one material weakness and two significant deficiencies. However, we are issuing an unmodified or clean opinion on your financial statements. Other matters, there are no outstanding items that we have from the city as of right now, so that's great news. You all got us what we needed. And then if you look on your opinion, the overview of audit report, unmodified audit opinion is basically just a clean opinion. That's what citizens, debt holders, granting agencies like to see. So that does mean that your financial statements are free from material misstatement, which is good news. This is just an overview of your financial statements as a whole. You'll notice we have our opinion, and this is an overview of that bound copy that you have. We have our opinion on pages 1 through 3. Our MD&A, which is a little bit more explanatory information on the balances. We have your government-wide financial statements and your fund financial statements. We have your water fund financial statements right after. You have a small fiduciary fund for the Collins Fund, and then your notes to the financial statement, which just explain those balances in your financial statements. And then your required supplementary information is immediately after that. That's your budget comparison and your pension and OPEB, your TMRS information. And then we have your discretely presented component unit, the Howe EDC. Their budgetary comparison is right after that. So we did have some highlights that we wanted to point out. And again, this is very high level. So if you have more in-depth or involved questions on any of the balances, feel free to reach out to us. I'm sure Monty or Michelle could also help you, or Eddie as well. But as of September 30th, 2023, the city reported a total net position of $2.7 million, which is an increase of about $631,000. So that's significant and worth noting here. The primary reason is due to increased charges for services. This included property taxes and the agreement with Noble Ridge. Getting some of that money for the legal fees helped boost that net position. The amount that's invested in capital assets, this is the amount that's basically your capital assets less your debt obligations, so not available to spend, is about $1.2 million. And then your unrestricted net position, amounts available for spending that don't have any restrictions, $1.14 million. So then if you go to pages 15 to 17, you'll see the government-wide financial statements. Your governmental total revenues increased by $539,000 or 26%. Again, largely due to property taxes, charges for services. Your building permit revenue also increased from fiscal year 22. Your expenses also increased, which we do expect with an increase in revenue that's pretty standard, by $227,000 or 13% from fiscal year 22. And your largest functional expense categories were attributable to public safety, which is again to be expected. Your business type activities, this is all the activities of your water and sewer fund. Your total revenues decreased by $58,000. This decrease is primarily due to grants recognized in fiscal year 22. It doesn't necessarily indicate operational concern. The total expenses increased by $664,000, which is to be expected with your water and sewer provision coming online heavier with the Noble Ridge development, or 31% from fiscal year 22. This included increases in maintenance and repairs along with salaries and benefits. This is one thing that I always like to point out, and this is a specific highlight for the city of Howe this year. Your general fund liquidity calculation for the first time in a while is 7 months, which that basically means that's what you have in reserves to spend in your general fund at year end as of September 30th, 2023. GFOA recommends 3 to 6 months. So 7 months is fantastic news. I can imagine that probably in 24 and 25 we'll see that increase a little bit. So my advice to cities that we audit is to plan what to do with that difference between 6 and however many months you have. You never want to carry too much that hasn't been spoken for, so it's a good idea to think about what you can do with that money. Your water and sewer fund total net position, the unrestricted net position, we like pointing this out in the water fund because that's what's available to spend, was $389,348, or increased by $389,000. This was 83% increased from 22. So that's noteworthy here. And I did want to point out your deficit fund balance. There is still a deficit fund balance in that water fund that we've been working to remedy for years due to the old payables with City of Sherman. But that really decreased this year. So I can imagine for 2024 and 2025, that's only going to get better, and we'll probably have some net position to play with in years moving forward. The unrestricted net position of the water and sewer fund is negative still. It's that negative $78,000. Therefore, there aren't reserves, but we did see that $300,000 increase, so that's good news. The GFOA doesn't recommend a reserve balance for the water and sewer fund because the goal is that it's operated like an enterprise. But anything in reserves at this point would be good news for Howe. We did have the material weakness, and again, this is similar personnel as in 22. So we had the same material weakness, internal controls over financial reporting. This was due to large entries in the closing process that were not made timely. And it does sound like Michelle and Monty and Eddie are working together to refine that, so it's no longer an issue. But as of September 30th, 2023, it still was. So it sounds like they've heeded these recommendations and are moving forward with steps to address this moving forward. The Municipal Court Security and Technology Fund, we saw that this was still not in an established fund. We recommend that the city move that into its own designated restricted fund, so it's easier to track those restricted revenues and expenses and can't accidentally get spent on general fund purposes. And then we did have a finding about document retention, and this is just pretty standard with changes in personnel. There were several documents that were unable to be located, even after Michelle's tireless tries with the vendors. But I think she has a plan moving forward to import those into FundView, and we just didn't have anyone here during fiscal year 23 that we could ask. So we would recommend that the city build in processes and procedures to retain important documents, especially concerning financial transactions. We did have a couple management recommendations here. We do recommend that the city monitor budget to actual during the year and amend the budget if necessary. We also recommend that the city reconcile bank accounts monthly, review outstanding items, and ensure that the trial balance agrees to the reconciliation at the end of the month. Again, I think because there was such a change in personnel, there wasn't anyone doing that task for a period of time. So we just recommend that there are policies and procedures to make sure that if Eddie and Nicola, the Peacocks, are reconciling, someone from the city is reviewing and taking charge of that. We also recommend dual signatures on checks. I do believe this is happening now, but in 2023 it was not. So it sounds like you all have addressed that, and I think Michelle even showed us that it was happening now. We just have to go as of September 30th, 2023. And then capital assets, we did recommend that the city review your expenditures over $5,000 annually to make sure that anything that is capital in nature is added to your depreciation schedule and depreciated over its useful life. Water meter deposits, we recommend that the city record these in the water fund, or as of, I was going to say currently, but it's not current. As of September 30th, 2023, these were being recorded in the general fund, and then we have to do an audit adjustment to transfer those over to the water fund. We just recommend that those are recorded in the water fund in the first place, and then that eliminates the need for an adjustment after. And then this was a new issue we noticed in 2023 for payroll allocations. We recommend that the city review the payroll allocation methodology and process to ensure that payroll costs are being properly allocated to the correct accounts. There were some issues with HR setup when employees were set up that were then coming through on the system as errors. And there was a significant amount of work that I know Michelle helped us through, so did Eddie, and we did to correct those, but it sounds like she's also working on that now. We would like to thank, obviously, Monty and Michelle and Eddie. They're invaluable in doing 2 audits in 6 months. So we're really grateful for their efforts. I know it's no easy task. We have many questions, and we just really appreciate them. But do you all have any questions on anything? I know it's very high level.
Sounds like we're on the right track though, right?
I'm excited. I am excited. It has. It has. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in 6 months.
Yeah, and just remember, this is as of September 2023. So we've already started to implement a lot of these changes.
And many were implemented when we were doing field work for 2025. So I'm anticipating we'll see some improvement in 2024 because I think that's the fiscal year that you came on, Michelle. And then I really anticipate 2025 seeing many of these things resolved.
Plus, we're on FundView now.
Yes, we love FundView.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you all.
appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Monty, do we need to make a motion to approve?
Yes.
Okay. If the council does not have any further discussion, do I have a motion to approve the 2022-23 audit report?
I'll motion to approve the 2022 to 2023 audit report.
Okay, Sean makes that motion. Do I have a second? All right, Ed is going to make that second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Number 5, discuss, consider, and act upon appointing Jared Coffey to the Howe EDC Board.
Thank you, sir. Before she leaves, I just want to say thank you, Sophie, for hanging in there with us for all this time. Yeah, thank you. As she mentioned, a lot of those things have already been addressed, moving in the right place. You know, that audit report had 1 month of me being here, so I'm very glad to see the movement that we've made in the right direction. And a lot of that's thanks to Michelle and her hard work also of getting that stuff done. Back to the motion, that agenda item. You might recall a few months ago, Kevin Crossan resigned from the Howe EDC Board. The mayor and I are recommending the approval of Jared Coffey to take the seat on the board.
Does the council wish to discuss this item? If not, do we have a motion?
We can't discuss him with him in the room.
Sure we can.
I have no objections and will make the motion to approve.
Okay, Billy makes the motion to approve appointing Jared Coffey to the Howe EDC Board. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Ricky makes that second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. All right, so I'm going to quickly swear Jared in. Yes.
Swear at you, maybe.
So you will, and if you approve that. All right, Jared, if you will, raise your right hand and repeat after me. In the name and by the authority of
In the name and by the authority of
the state of
the
Texas,
state of Texas,
I, Jared Coffey,
I, Jared Coffey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the Howe EDC Board
the duties of the Howe EDC Board
of the City of Howe,
of the City of Howe,
State of Texas,
State of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God. All
Congratulations.
right. I'll sign this one.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Council, thanks.
Voluntold. See y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
We appreciate you serving. All right. Number 6, discuss, consider, and act upon entering into a pre-development and professional services agreement with Hudson McKenzie Development Corporation.
This is a PSA for the property on West Duke Street that we talked about earlier. They rezoned this to commercial C2 a few months back. This allows our engineer and attorney to be available at the client's disposal at their cost. So city staff highly recommends this.
All right, if the council, does the council have any other discussion on this item? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Ricky will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Sean is going to make that second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Number 7, discuss, consider, and act upon entering into a pre-development and professional services agreement with Rankin Circle North LLC.
Same song, second verse, but this one is with the Rankin Circle North LLC. This is a property in between Abington Meadows and Southwest Auction. It was rezoned C2 probably this time last year or earlier in the year. Again, this allows our engineer and attorney access to them.
Does the council wish to to discuss this item any further? If not, do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Chad is going to make that motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I will second Chad's motion.
Billy makes a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Number 8, discuss, consider, and act upon temporary closure of Beatrice Street, Duke Street, Denny Street, Davis Street, Hughes Street, Haining Street, and King Street on Saturday, December 13, 2025, from 4:30 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. for the Howe Area Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade. Does the council have any discussion on this? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Billy makes that motion to approve. Do I have a second? Ricky's making that second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Resolution 2025-0013, a resolution of the City of Howe, Texas, nominating Board of Directors for the Grayson Central Appraisal District. This year, there are 4 individuals who have been nominated to take the seat on the Grayson County Appraisal Board. These individuals are Brad Morgan, William Stevens, Monty Walker, and Charlie Williams. Someone from Gunter nominated our city administrator, Monty Walker, for a seat on the board. The City of Howe carries 8 votes. Number 9, discuss, consider, and act upon Resolution 2025-0013, using up to 8 votes for the candidates for the Board of Directors of Grayson Central Appraisal District 2026 through 2029, staggered terms with candidates Brad Morgan, William Stevens, Monty Walker, and Charlie Williams. I would like to recommend that the City of Howe gives all 8 votes in favor of Monty Walker. However, the City Council is free to use all 8 votes any way they choose. Does the council wish to discuss this? And if not, do we have a motion?
I don't know anybody else, so I'm motion to approve all 8.
For,
Monty.
all right, Billy makes that motion to approve all 8 votes in favor of Monty Walker. Do I have a second?
A second.
Ed makes that second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are motion passes. Resolution 2025-0014, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Howe, Texas, authorizing the submission of a contract amendment request for the Community Development Fund contract between the City of Howe and the Texas Department of Agriculture, contract number CDV 23-0055. We will now open this up for a public hearing for Resolution 2025-0014. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Since we do not have anyone, we will now close out that public hearing and return to regular session. So that we're aware, number 10, it says public hearing related to the amendment request. That is actually not supposed to be an action item. That is actually the public hearing which I just announced. So I will be moving on to item number 11. Discuss, consider, and act upon adopting a resolution authorizing the submission of a contract amendment request for the CDBG grant contract number CDV 23-0055. And Monty, I think, is going to explain this.
Yeah, this is just some cleanup on this grant that we received on Young Street several years ago. They completed the work, but the funding of the grant was scaled back, and that's why Young Street, the north side of the street's paved and the south side is not. It's because of the funding from the grant had to be reduced. And that this we have to formally approve this and send that back to them. So it's just a formality.
Does the council have any questions or want to discuss this further? And if not, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Okay, Sean is going to make that motion to approve the resolution number 2025-0014. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Chad makes that second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Ordinance number 840, an ordinance of the City of Howe, Texas, amending ordinance number 4, passed on June 20, 1906, and the Code of Ordinances of the City of Howe regulating and prohibiting the sale, use, and discharge of fireworks and firearms within the city limits, providing for special permits, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date. We will now open this up to public hearing for members from the audience to have discussion or comment. Anyone from the public have anything? All right. Since we do not, we will now close the public hearing and return to regular session. Number 12, discuss, consider, and act upon ordinance number 840. Do you want to make any comment?
I'm just glad they don't have to worry about anybody getting caught and only getting a $10 fine now after this
That was a lot of money in 1906.
120-something-year-old ordinance needed to be updated long ago, and it was worded incorrectly also. It said you couldn't possess a firearm, and obviously that is not the case. So we just cleaned it up. It goes from $10 to $2,000 now, so.
And updated it.
Yeah.
All right, does the council have any discussion on this item? If not, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we accept ordinance number 840.
Okay, Ed is making that motion to approve ordinance number 840. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ricky's making that second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Ordinance number 841, an ordinance of the City of Howe, Texas, providing standards for streets and structure identification for emergency 911 services within the corporate limit of the city, establishing requirements for addressing and property identification, providing for severability, open meetings, penalty, and effective date clauses, and making findings regarding the city's participation with the Grayson County Appraisal District and the Emergency 911 Services Division. We now open this up for public hearing for ordinance number 841. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this matter or have comments? Since we do not, we will return to our regular session. Close the public hearing, return to regular session. Number 13, discuss, consider, and act upon ordinance number 841.
I know both chiefs will be very happy with this one. Chief Sullivan has been in my office a number of times over the past couple of months, asking me where we are on this one. I told y'all at TML, conversing with other city managers, they're using AI a lot. So I just plugged this in there to AI and see what came out, and then I had our attorney review it, and of course our attorney has some additions on that. But ultimately, this will have residential 4-inch block numbers, or not block, but 4-inch numbers on their houses, and this is all for EMS services, emergency situations, so that they can identify the homes properly. Commercial buildings will have 6-inch on those. And in your packet, I have since updated this to say 6 inches for commercial. AI gave me insert a number, so I cleaned that up. So that's what that is, 6 inches on the commercial.
I think this is a good thing. Does the council wish to discuss this item any further? If not, do I have a motion?
I mean, we have the discretion. With the penalty clause of this, I have an issue. It doesn't sit well with me. Each day a violation continues shall constitute a separate offense. I get the verbiage and the reasoning, but there are those in this community that although the cost of these reflective or illuminated letters for their house could be something that they don't budget for. And upon conviction, find an amount not to exceed $500 per offense, with each day being a separate offense. That doesn't sit well with me.
Any comment from?
And I know, I understand fully and completely why we're doing it. I get it. 500 is for each, up to 500, a bit steep.
You know, that, I don't think any of us currently in this position would stick to that for someone. We would try to get them help the best we can before we start charging people. I think that's the kind of city we are and the kind of citizens we are. So I don't see that as being something that'll be held, but it has to be in writing. Ultimately, Chief Sullivan, how do you feel about this?
What I would say is most of that is legal verbiage. I can tell you my office will not be writing tickets for this for $500 a day. What we're trying to do is make our responses for us and fire EMS better. You're talking about a $20 fix for them to put something on their residence so that we can see the addresses and respond to the right location. We have had issues where both of us have had personnel not able to find the right place, which obviously time is of essence when we're trying to save lives. The second part of that is, even if a citation were to be written, it would be pushed before the municipal court, and it ultimately would be up to the municipal judge as to what fine, if any, would be assessed. I can tell you from experience, at least been over the last year, people who make an attempt to correct this action or in some cases, we've had volunteers take care of solving issues where people couldn't afford to fund it itself. But the amount itself is just a required legal verbiage. If you got specific questions, I'll certainly try to answer those.
So we have the ability to word this ordinance in any way we want, per se.
For the most
Can
part.
it be worded to where that if the violation is noticed, that there's a 14, 28, 30-day period to where it gives us time to put things in action to where we can get that rectified before it gets to the penalty phase?
So how we have handled code enforcement since we've taken it over in October is we have defined an issue. We have spoke to the resident or the business owner to find out how we can help them resolve that issue. What we have found more often than not is people simply did not know, so it's an opportunity to educate our citizens and our business owners. The second part of that is when we have people who are indigent or having challenges, we have had other ways to help them becoming compliant, either through volunteers or doing other means for people to become compliant with our ordinances. So issuing a citation or finding someone for something of this nature is not a priority for us. What is a priority for us is to come and solve the problem so that first responders can find you and do what needs to be done in an effort to save lives.
Makes me feel a little bit better. I motion to approve.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes,
Where
ma'am.
it says reflective or otherwise visible during nighttime conditions, so it means it would need to be a special type of lettering?
So to simplify this and maybe where everybody can understand, you can buy letters at Walmart, they're like $1 a piece that meet this requirement.
Okay.
And so what we're looking at is if we're trying to find a specific address, that our lights will reflect that so that we can affirm that we're at the right location. And to kind of put this in a perspective, from a police perspective, Fort Worth Police Department just had an officer-involved shooting about 2 months ago because they responded to the wrong address, and the homeowner came out with a pistol and went and dropped the pistol, and the officers ended up shooting the homeowner. We don't need that, okay? If fire and EMS are trying to find someone because they're having a heart attack or a seizure, we don't need to be fighting on what address we need to be at. We need to know where we're at and what we're dealing with. And this aids us in doing that process.
I think it's a good thing. Monty, if the council is so inclined to approve it, I just would like for us to make sure that we maybe make a post on the city website just to kind of try to help inform citizens. They may not read it, but we've got to do our part in trying to get the word out.
Yeah, we can do that. We can post that on our website
Okay.
and especially have it available at City Hall.
Yes, thank you so much.
So we're also going to make that part of our Citizens Police Academy. As y'all know, we're working on putting a crime prevention program together that will be part of our crime prevention program. And as we interact with new businesses coming on board, as well as educating them.
Good thing. All right, does the council have anything else they want to discuss on this ordinance number 841? And if not, could you repeat your motion, please?
I motion to approve.
All right, Billy's going to make the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Sean is going to second that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. Ordinance number 842, an ordinance of the City of Howe, Texas, regulating the installation of manufactured and mobile homes within the city limits, establishing condition and inspection requirements, providing for compliance with state and federal standards, providing a penalty, providing severability, open meetings, and effective date clauses, and repealing conflicting provisions. We will now open this up for public hearing. Anybody in the audience wish to comment or have questions? Since we do not, we will close the public hearing and return to regular session. 14, discuss, consider, and act upon ordinance number 842.
Mayor, council, all this is trying to make sure that in our areas where we allow mobile homes and manufactured homes, that we have the best product within that area, and that, this gives a baseline of what they're able to put into a mobile home park.
Does the council wish to discuss this item? And if not, do we have a motion?
So it doesn't affect any existing homes unless they try to move it or relocate it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct. Any other questions or comments? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Billy makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I heard, sorry, Ed, I'll go with you. I heard Ed make a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None are opposed. Motion passes. If there's no further business to come before this council, this meeting stands adjourned at 7:05 p.m. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening and have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.